And at 8:30, like I said, the mocking anger and acrimony by Trump shown towards Hollywood director Rob Reiner's death has shocked even his most ardent supporters and MAGA fans. What was this really all about? I will be debating that. But let's first get straight to our top story. I hate to say it, viewer, but Lionel Messi's India tour was in most part an embarrassment. Awkward, in some places undignified, mortifying, from viral images of our netas acting like starstruck interns to VIPs elbowing past fans. This was less a sporting moment and more a national cringe carnival. You had the Maharashtra Chief Minister's wife Amruta Fadnavis casually chewing gum while clicking selfies with a visibly indifferent Messi. She had every right to be there, but people have taken exception to the manner in which she was taking selfies. The image has become a rallying point for public derision, mocking and annoyance among spectators. Rahul Gandhi securing VIP access for the Vadra children, Rehan and Miraya, even as thousands of fans couldn't get anywhere close to Messi. Revant Reddy struggling to even pass the ball to Messi in what has become one of the most shared clips of the Messi event in Hyderabad. Mamta's sports minister embarrassing himself in the country with his cringeworthy selfie hunting. Part of the reason why the Messi event in Kolkata will go down in history as one of India's worst. Another Trinamool leader, Swaroop Biswas, even brought his daughters, even as Bengal's football crazy public didn't get even a glimpse of Messi. But none of these netas was alone. Congress Maharashtra MLA Vishwajit Kadam and his entire family posing with Messi, while most could only dream of such a frame. Celebrity after celebrity paraded in front of the camera in the same frame as Messi, while fans who paid obscene ticket prices were left with chaotic, clumsy arrangements and blink-and-you-miss-it appearances, whether in Mumbai, Hyderabad or Mamta Banerjee's Kolkata and in Delhi. Let me be clear. Messi is a once-in-a-generation global icon. It is understandable that Indian celebrities briefly forgot their own celebrity status, perhaps, and turned fanboy or fangirl. But what exactly was the point of all this adoration? How much have our self-proclaimed sports patrons actually done for Indian football? Does Indian football pack stadiums the way these Messi events did? Do we host international tournaments of any respectable level in football? Will Messi's visit be remembered as a tipping point or just a gallery of awkward selfies for VIP family albums and Instagram handles? It was good to see Sunil Chhetri and Baichung Bhutia squeezed into the relentless assembly line of meets and greets. But as always, our true heroes and genuine fans were relegated to second-class darshan of Lionel Messi. Hero worship is easy, and it comes easily to us here in India. Inspiration requires intent, and once again, Indian football perhaps got neither. And another person whose pictures, along with his entire family with Lionel Messi, have gone viral and become very, very visible is none other than Praful Patel. He is a member of the FIFA Council, Member of Parliament, Working President of the NCP, also a former Union Minister. Mr. Patel, welcome. Thank you for your time here on NDTV. First off, moment of a lifetime. Amazing pictures. As someone who has spent many years as President of the All India Football Federation, what was it like? Tell us about that moment that you've described, sir.
Well, as we all know, that Messi is one of the most, popular and magical figures in the world of sport today. And I would say probably one of the most popular figures in the world in any profession. And we have seen that earlier in India. Many people forget that in 2011, that's 14 years ago, we had brought Messi to India to play officially an Argentina-Venezuela match. It was a FIFA-friendly game. And Salt Lake Stadium was in full frenzy, 80,000 fans cheering, and it was a really remarkable event on that day, 2011.
Mr. Patel, pictures of you with your entire
And
family.
his visit now, and his visit now to India, especially in light of his recent achievements. Of course, he's been consistent all throughout his career, but the crowning moment was the World Cup final in Qatar. And I was myself present there, watching that unforgettable moment. It was once in a lifetime moment, and I'm sure what we experienced in the stadium, the whole world experienced it on television. And therefore, and for especially young children, young sports lovers, he is the ultimate.
Yeah, I'm going to come to young sports lovers in just a moment because your views on that is very valuable to us. Mr. Patel, pictures of Messi with various celebrities, in this case with you, your family, have gone viral. Your critics, Mr. Patel, will say this is VIP culture, while fans are forgotten. The netas and their families get the limelight. How would you respond to that, sir?
Well, you can hardly, I may be a neta, but I can hardly call me a neta in terms of Messi. I have been president of All India Football Federation for 12 long years. I've been the only person who's gone to the FIFA Council. And I've been the senior vice president of the Asian Football Confederation for so many years. My entire career in sports is devoted to uplifting Indian football. We were ranked 170 plus at one time, and we came up to our highest ever ranking of 93, which again has now slipped, after my leaving. I'm not blaming anybody, but it's come down to 144 or 45. My only point here is that we have invested so much in football, our time, our ecosystem, and we've been able to rope in wonderful sponsors. And that has actually uplifted Indian football. Yeah. The love for the game is there. Every child in India, boy or girl, wants to play football. But we really need to improve our national performance to be able to get more children and more people attracted to the game. We all watch La Liga, EPL and other international tournaments, but we need to watch our ISL, Indian Super League, our I-League and other formats of the game more in India to be able to be changing the landscape of football in India.
Mr. Patel, you're right. The India's global football ranking has slipped since your departure. And I know you're not blaming anyone, but our current rank is 142. I just checked on that. As someone who has, been at the helm of affairs of Indian football, what does a visit by someone like a Messi do for India? Because the lay viewer would say India is nowhere when it comes to football. So what is the point of visits of this kind if it doesn't really inspire young children to pursue the sport and make India much bigger?
Well, you can see the frenzy of children, youngsters, sports lovers for Messi's visit. And I'm talking even of people who don't really play the game, because he inspires people. He inspires at how a very ordinary, I would say even physically challenged, a young child overcame all those hurdles and became the greatest of all times. Yeah. That's how they call it the GOAT. And I've had the very big honor to meet Maradona, to meet Pele, and I can tell you that Messi, very humble, his persona is so understated, but his feet are magic, and that's what he inspires a whole young generation to follow the game and also play the game. Yeah. So I think his coming to India, maybe whatever the other considerations, but the fact of the matter is he went, he came, he conquered, and he went. And he conquered the hearts of not only the people of India, but especially football lovers of India. So that's a big thing. You see, these kind of visits don't happen every day. True. And you've seen it on your own channel. Yeah. How many people, I was told somebody in Kolkata had come from Chennai, somebody in Mumbai had come all the way from Rajasthan, somebody in Delhi had come all the way from Srinagar or whoever. That kind of things don't happen for every celebrity. So he's not a great looking guy. He's not done movies or something. But you see, that also means that sport, if played well, can inspire a whole generation.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, irrespective of who brought him and what may be the motive, the fact is that India's sporting culture got a big boost.
Yeah.
And that's what's needed.
And that is the huge hope, because on the fan front, this visit was a bit of a mixed bag. I'm sure you'll agree with me, Mr. Patel, because starting with the the Kolkata event, the entire trip has has seen this sort of contrast between celebrity access and fan events which have ranged from chaotic to mediocre at best. Maybe that's the reason why things have hit a bit of a raw nerve when people have seen pictures of celebrities with with Messi hogging the limelight, while the fans have been sort of left in the lurch and forgotten. I'm just wondering if that may be the case.
No, let me tell you, whatever the fan engagement was there, nobody has interfered in that time. He's not going to be on a ground 24 hours, obviously.
Yeah.
He has to have his own private time. And obviously, there are people who sponsored his visit. They need to be given a chance to meet him. After all, such high-profile visits don't come without some cost.
Yeah.
And somebody has to bear the cost. And somebody has to be given that little space. Also, important people in the country, they also, and unfortunately, Honorable Prime Minister had to travel to Jordan yesterday. The date was clashing. Otherwise, I had already made a request, and I had already spoken to his office that we would like to call on the Honorable Prime Minister. In fact, Messi, is a very shy person. He doesn't want to go and meet any leader of the country. I mean, there's no reason, but he has his own shyness.
Yeah.
But on my request, he had agreed to go and call on the Prime Minister. And that would have been really a picture-perfect moment. The Honorable Prime Minister having, maybe a dialogue, or maybe just kicking a ball or holding a ball, or Messi signing a ball or a jersey for him. In fact, he had brought a jersey specially for Prime Minister's 75th birthday. And that was something he wanted to gift himself personally. So that's the kind of, moment is also required. You see, an interface between decision makers and other people who can promote the game should also happen.
Yeah.
And that was not encroaching on any of his public time. Nobody has wasted a minute of his which was due for concerts or for interaction with common people. And we all realize people have paid for tickets and to come and see him and meet him. And that should never come in the way. Nobody, and I don't think anybody came in the way.
Final question, Mr. Patel, is how do we make football in India the kind of, maniacal sport and almost a religion that cricket is? I know you've spent a large part of your, life trying to do that. You've achieved some success in pushing India up the ranks of global football, but we're still far away, sir. How do you see it? Is it something that India can ever achieve?
See, India will achieve. Let's not be, pessimistic about all these things. Maybe it takes its own time. We were very good in 50s and 60s, but remember at that time, the era of football was different. The whole world was not really involved as much as the game today. Today, each and every country of the world plays football. So unlike other sports, no comparisons to be drawn, football is the most competitive game in the world.
Yeah.
And number two, it requires a lot of money to, keep the game, sustain the game. And I must say that FSDL did a good job trying to, they've lost a lot of money, I'm sure, but they did support Indian football. We also, from my side, I also, and my team at that time, had worked very hard with international, partners like FIFA and AFC. And we had to, really achieve all this with limited budgets, limited resources. But however, I must say that India, we brought in the Indian Super League, which is an international format. It is recognized, everybody, whether we play great football like other countries or not, but Indian Super League is recognized. We have a lot of international players who come and play in India. and that gives our players also a chance to play with the best in the world. And the I League has evolved. And so, we had the FIFA Under 17 World Cup in 2017. We had the FIFA 17 Under World Cup. Both are FIFA
Yes.
competitions, global competitions, which came to India for the girls and the boys. And that was especially to give a boost to the youngsters. And the day before in Mumbai, the Chief Minister, I had a chance to explain to him, and he was very supportive. And we have launched, along with the State Association, which I had also, and the state government, to actually, we picked up 30 boys and 30 girls, scouted. We haven't just randomly chosen them. There's no influence. Very ordinary, very simple families, their children have been picked up. And now they are under a extensive 5-year program under the name of Operation or Project Mahadev. And that will actually give us 60 lovely budding footballers, boys and girls, for playing in the future. I'm sure should be every state. After all, I must say Naveen Babu in Odisha had done a great job.
Hockey,
Jharkhand has done a good job. Maharashtra has done a good job. And many other states, Kerala and other states and Goa, all have actually tried to develop the footballing culture. But more is required. And I hope that whoever is now looking after things, I'm happy to support. And also I must tell you that, we need a voice at the international level. For your information, the FIFA Council membership doesn't come by nomination, that I'm nominated by India. No. It is a limited board. You have to actually contest an election. All countries vote, and there's a secret ballot, and there are many people who are contesting. So let me put it in perspective that India is on the threshold of greatness. India is actually, the world wants India to do well, because even commercialization of the sport is important. FIFA always talks of that. And we are, the most populous country in the world. And that actually they want India to be one of the premium or premier footballing nations in the world. So I think with the passion which we already have, the interest which we have in the game, we need a few years of sustained effort, and we'll get there.
India is on the threshold of greatness. I'm going to end on that line. Thank you very much, Praful Patel, sir, for being with me and giving us your time here on NDTV. Pleasure having you. Thank you. So how did Messi's visit to India really fare? There are many critics who say that the VIPs got all the access, but the fans were ignored. Things were messily organized. Football has gained really nothing. It was just a series of celebrity photo ops, influencers getting access, while fans had to pay exorbitant sums of money to get a tiny little glimpse of their idol, Lionel Messi. Remember that India is 142 in the global football ranking. So what was this really all about? It was just Sifarish culture and VIP access, or did it really benefit India? Joining me live now, very privileged to have Bhaichung Bhutia, former Indian footballer, widely considered to be the torchbearer of Indian football on the global stage. Suhail Seth, columnist, marketing maven and commentator. Boria Majumdar is consulting editor sports with NDTV. Gentlemen, welcome. Bhaichung, I'd like to start with you first of all by saluting you. I'm a huge fan myself. Thank you for your incredible service to India, to football and to sports in general. It was lovely to see someone like you getting a chance to share a frame with Lionel Messi. I can imagine what that moment must have been like. A privilege for you, and I'm sure a privilege for him as well. But take us through what that moment was like first, Bhaichung, because I have a lot of questions about how things were organized. Not all of them are pleasant questions. Bhaichung.
Again, I think it was a great meeting Lionel Messi, and because of Messi, I think thousands and thousands of kids across India and all over the world are influenced to play because of what he's done to football. And more than me, I wanted to meet was because of my son and my two daughters. I think my son is a footballer as well. He's grown up watching Messi, and for him, Messi is like a god, an idol. So I think it is something it's something like all the kids across India and the world look up to Messi, and he's coming to India is, I think, going to influence so much to the sport and make a lot of kids like him, like my son, encourage it and go and play sports. So it was a huge moment, and for me as well to meet one of the greatest footballer was a big honor.
Baichung, you're a very sober guy. I know that. I've seen your interviews. But did it bother you that there was so much VIP access? The politicians hogging the limelight, getting into the frames. One can understand. Sponsors have to get their share of the moment with him. But so much selfie culture with the netas, sports minister, etc. Taking all the limelight, and we saw that the fans really didn't get their due.
No, I think Messi's tour of India, and especially with Kolkata trip, the first trip, I think made aware that how much VIP culture is there in sports. And this has been happening over the years. I think if you look at any sporting event, the sport and the sports person should be getting the priority, but it's always been netas or some big bureaucrats coming in. So I think this kind of changes has to happen because the sport has to be given the priority. And I think Messi's tour and especially the Bengal tour has exposed that this has been happening. And yes, I think it was a disaster thing that's the way it happened in Kolkata. But as I said, it's been happening over the years. And I hope with this incident, with Messi's trip to India, and especially with Kolkata, the way things were managed, I hope in future that, sport is given the importance, the sports person there. I've seen a lot of, sporting events in India, bigger ones or smaller ones. You all wait for Neta or a chief guest to come in.
Yeah.
Till the time the chief guest is not there, the match also gets delayed. And then when you come in, there's a match happening, there's a bhasan, there is speech for the chief guest, whoever may be bureaucrat or a politician or a film star. I think the sport is the most important thing, and people have come to watch the sport and the sports person there. And in those occasions, those events, I think the sports person and the sports has to be given the maximum priority and not have a VIP culture and, look after only the VIP ones and the chief guests.
You've spoken from the heart and you've said something that is going to strike a chord with the public all over the country. Baichung, I want you to stay with me because Boria Majumdar, who you know very well, is with me. Suhail Seth is also with us. Suhail, I want to come to you. You've heard what Baichung has said. This is a football star, a national treasure saying that, nothing starts before the VIPs arrive. Then there is bhashan. Then there is VIP culture, there is access, there is selfies. I mean, someone like a Baichung who, avoids the glare, doesn't court controversy, for someone like him to call it out, it's a big deal and we must recognize it, Suhail.
So here's the thing with our country. The idiots are running sports, and this is what you get when idiots run sport. For them, sport is a blood sport for VIPism. What would I have done? Let me give you solutions. If I were organizing the Lionel Messi tour, the first thing that would have happened was that he would have met the Indian football team. He'd have met legends of Indian football, both men and women. He'd have met an under-18 boys team, an under-18 girls team. That is where we need to inspire.
Yeah.
I don't want Mamta Banerjee to be inspired because she can't kick a ball. I mean, she may, but you know what I mean. I don't want Amrita Fadnavis to be inspired. I want the youth of our country to be inspired by a legend such as Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
What did you do? You created a goddamn drama which fell flat on its face. I hate to say this, some of them I know very well. You have all these Johnnies. Oh, I want to take my son. Some film star is going. Some politician is going. Some goddamn police commissioner is elbowing his security to... what kind of a country have we become? This says a lot about who we are as a country. The true sporting heroes in this country do not get their fair share and never have. I'm glad, Shiv, you're doing this program so that we can wake these jokers. I mean, Jay Shah, Rekha Gupta at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. I mean, most of them wouldn't even be able to spell football if we gave them a hit on the head. But that's how it is. Why? Because they control the sporting body, but they don't have sportsmanship. If I were Rekha Gupta, I would have ensured that the young of Delhi, no matter what she's done to the environment, would have actually interacted with Lionel Messi. Messi would have liked it. What have you made Messi look like? he's there almost like a standee where people come and get photographed with him and then leave.
No, you're right.
They don't speak language. He doesn't
He
speak their
became
language.
like a celebrity
It's
prop.
goddamn charade.
And I'm not even talking about people who have locus standi and being part of sporting bodies, but, people with their families, people grabbing selfies when fans were, paying hand over fist to get like a 5-second chance to look at him. Boria, you've covered events all across the world. What is your assessment of how Messi's 3 days in India looked like?
I've heard Praful Patel, I've heard Baichung, I've heard Suhail. I've been listening for the last 25 minutes. I've very closely monitored this tour. You asked me my assessment. In one word, it's a disaster. And I will tell you why. The man is the world's greatest football player. He comes to Kolkata and he leaves Kolkata without kicking a football.
Yeah.
He has actually not touched a football in Calcutta. He was here for a day. He's done 1,000 selfies. He's been, mobbed by VIPs, elbowed, scratched by a pen, taken whatever. He's not touched a football. That's what we've done. We got Lionel Messi to India without making him kick a football to his fans in Calcutta. There is a 70-foot statue, Shiv.
Yeah.
I'm from the city. Every time I go to the airport and cross that statue, I will be reminded of this scar, that how foolish we are as part of this city. That we let the world's greatest footballer come here and leave without showing his extraordinary genius
So true.
of football. Question number 2, you said I do events. I do, I host events, I cover events. Tell me, there is something called the field of play. How could 500 people, you're showing these pictures, how could 500 to 1,000 people enter the field of play? There are protocols, 12, 15, 20, 50. How could all of these people enter the field of play? When a cricket match is going on at the Eden Gardens, do all people enter the field of play and take Messi or a cricket player like this and start walking?
Yeah.
No. Was there planning? The answer is no.
Yeah,
was this a collective failure? The answer is yes.
They've arrested the wrong guy.
They've arrested the tour organizer.
They've
Some
arrested
guy who's
the
got
low-hanging
nothing to do with anything. No power.
One second. The promoter is as culpable as the politician, as the VIP, as the neta. Because look, Suhail Seth does events and I've seen it. Or Baichung or yourself. If I can't control an event, Shiv, I won't do it.
Yeah.
If I can't control an event of my own doing, I will not do the event.
Correct. This was a disaster. And in a city like Kolkata, Baichung, permit me to express a personal wish. I am actually appalled. Boria is right when he says that it is actually shocking that Messi didn't even get to touch a football in Kolkata. Kolkata is arguably India's most football crazy city in the country. One would have actually loved to see you and Messi, kick the ball around, have a little moment, share some field space, create a beautiful image for the world to see. In my mind as a citizen, as a journalist, and I have to be honest with you, I don't follow football that closely. But I have to say, in my mind, the most inspiring image from this trip would have been Baichung Bhutia playing a little bit of football with Messi. What would have been bigger than that image, Baichung? Did that cross your mind?
So Shiv, in fact, the organizers, they did get in touch with me and said that if I could do the event in Kolkata. And I completely refused to do it in Kolkata, saying that, I've had an experience because we had Maradona as well in the past. And we've seen some kind of VIPs, unwanted people claiming themselves related or somehow getting some influential people, bringing their friends, family into the stadium and making it a chaos.
Yeah.
So I requested the organizers for me not to do it in Kolkata, but if I can meet Messi and my son can meet, we would want to meet it in some other venue like Delhi, which I'd requested. And that's what exactly that happened in Kolkata. And it's not the first time in terms of mismanagement, such a big event. We had Maradona come in the past, and I think Maradona was still slightly betterly handled, but you have unexpected people, especially the netas and the bureaucrats, wanting to get into the stadium. I feel sorry for the organizer as well. Obviously, Boria said is right. If you can't control, then you should not be doing it. But in Kolkata, he's a local Kolkata person who's the main organizer. And I feel sorry that he tried his best to control, but you had this unwanted, uninvited. You saw how one of the minister were, I think, man-to-man tackling it.
Yeah.
Messi's not been, I think, man-marked so much as he's been man-marked by this particular minister in Kolkata. So it was such a disaster because crowd, 70, 80,000 people paid money to come and watch. But just this VIP, their friends, families, just coming in and not letting actually the crowd who's come from very far away to just watch 5 seconds, 10 seconds of Messi getting the chance, which was, I think, very, very unfortunate.
Boria, go ahead.
Shamed India.
Yeah,
It has shamed India.
That's
We
right.
do not realize it has shamed brand India. We are seen as a bunch of jokers who can't organize a simple event. B. Which duffer didn't know that Messi has a huge insurance sum on his legs and he cannot play exhibition matches? So you'd have created or curated an event which may have required a dribble with Bhaichung or, coaching
Exactly.
young children. But these are, I'm telling you, they are stupid people. They are duffers. They are unintelligent people who, for their own vicarious selfie fame, are damaging brand India.
Yeah,
That's my worry about this.
I'll say two things. I know your time's running out.
Yeah.
We are a country that is going to bid for the Olympic Games. People are laughing at us. My contacts at the IOC have messaged me videos of my own city and said 2036 ? That's what I've got. Number two, we have spent 120 plus crores on Messi, which is fine if it inspires the generation. On the other side, you don't have a bidder for the ISL and you don't have a bidder for the I-League. So you don't know whether your National League will happen, whether your second league will happen. So actually, people of Baichung's ilk, the successors to Baichung, today stare at a future which is dark. They don't know if they will even earn their livelihoods. That is the grim reality of Indian football. So every time I pass that 70-foot statue, I will say that with this Messi event, much like the Ashes, Indian football has been put into that coffin and that final nail has been driven in. That's why I said it is a disaster and will forever remain a disaster. This scar for anyone in Kolkata and someone like me who does sport will not heal.
I'm going to give the last 30 seconds to Baichung himself. Baichung, we've said what needed to be said tonight on this, and I thank you for being so honest about something that you feel strongly about. I only want to ask, what did your son take away from this wonderful meeting? I want to end on a slightly positive note. Was your son happy? Did it make his day, his year?
I think my son, every time Argentina or Barcelona, when Messi was in Barcelona, he didn't miss many of his matches. And, obviously he's got a huge influence because of me also to play. But more than me, I think, and he's not seen me play because he was born after I retired.
Yeah.
So I think he's always played the sport, watched the sport because of Messi. And for him, Messi is like a god. So I think meeting him has really inspired him. But I'm sure it inspired a lot of kids across India because to get Messi in India, to see him live, though some places, obviously like Kolkata, they couldn't get to see it. But overall, I think it's made a big, big impact. There are a lot of negatives to it. I think the amount of commercial that's involved is a different part of the story. But Messi coming to India and just being here and playing, coming out in Bombay, in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Hyderabad, and in Kolkata, I think it's inspired a lot of young generation, a lot of kids to really come and take the sport and play it and stay healthy. That is, I think, the most important thing.
And Indian football has a long way to go. Let's hope that the young boys and girls in the country have been truly inspired, even though they didn't get, for most part, to share a frame with this incredible football legend. Baichung, as always, thank you. We are proud of everything that you've done and everything you've said as well. And Suhail and Boria, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time tonight on India Matters. The terribly violent murder of Hollywood filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife should have been a moment of horror and quiet reflection. That the couple had their throats slit at their Los Angeles home, allegedly by their own mentally disturbed son, makes it even worse. A filmmaker who gave the world beloved classics like Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, and This Is Spinal Tap. Instead, it has become something uglier, thanks to the US president. Trump responded to news of Rob Reiner's death with a social media post that is breathtaking in its hostility. Trump suggested that Reiner was consumed by what he called Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS, mocked him even in death, and implied that Rob Reiner's political rage somehow defined his death. Read that again. A sitting US president choosing open venom over restraint, even when a man is no longer alive to respond. Even by Trump's own standards, this seems to have crossed a line, and it surely has if you look at the responses, because this was not bluntness or honesty, and it isn't just Trump haters who say his words showed a lack of grace. And what makes it worse is the context. America has already, as you can see, normalized bile aimed at the dead. We saw it recently with the revolting reactions from the other end of the political spectrum after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Trump's own government cracked down on those celebrating that killing. So you would think the president would rise above it, be the bigger man. He is, after all, the president of the United States. Say a few token words, or maybe even nothing at all, on the death of someone who has spent a lot of time attacking you. But he didn't. Supporters will argue Trump owes no courtesy to a man like Rob Reiner, who spent years relentlessly attacking Trump. But leadership is tested in moments like these. Even Trump's most ardent and loyal supporters have been forced to break their silence and express shock at the president's words, beseeching him to retract, take back his utterances, maybe put it down to a momentary lapse of judgment. But Trump has doubled down on his sentiments, making it clear that this was no flash of anger. This is Trump's world. Many would find the irony staggering. A man who radiates more upfront hostility than any politician in modern history, perhaps, also makes no secret of his desire for a Nobel Peace Prize. It's even more ironic that it hasn't been any of Trump's many actions or words this year, but a condolence post for a dead Hollywood elder that has many saying too much.
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
So let's talk about Trump's words, the backlash, and what this says about modern-day America. Adele Malka Nazarian is an American media personality and a political analyst. Welcome, Adele. David K. Johnston is author, The Making of Donald Trump. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. He's also known Rob Reiner for more than 37 years. Welcome, David. And also Irina Sukerman is a human rights and political analyst based in New York. Irina, welcome. Thank you to all of you for your time. Adele, I'd like to kick it off with you. We've seen...
Guys, I can't hear. Guys, I can't.
Adele, can you hear me?
Guys, I can't hear the broadcast.
Okay. I'm sorry. We'll fix that in just a moment. David, I'll start it off with you in that case. You're someone who's written about Trump. You've known Rob Reiner for close to 4 decades.
It's Trump that I've known, Shiv. I've known Donald for close to 4 decades. I've met Rob Reiner. I've talked with him, but I'm not a friend of his, but I know Donald very well.
That was my mistake, David. My apologies. But my question to you is, even with everything we know about Trump, all the standards he's set for, hostile words in inappropriate times, what did you make of this? Did it shock you? Because it certainly has shocked even his close supporters.
Well, I'm glad that it shocked a lot of people. It did not surprise me in the least. This is the Donald I've known and I've covered all these years. Donald has no empathy for anyone. He sees himself as this special person who, as he said just recently, he runs the whole world. He has these delusional visions of himself because of the horrible, horrible household in which he grew up. So while Joe Biden and Barack Obama and others issued sympathetic, graceful statements, we get this from Donald Trump. Yes. And by the way, when Charlie Kirk, the right-wing antagonist who Trump spoke about when he was assassinated, when he was killed, Rob Reiner issued the kind of graceful comment you would expect, that no one should be killed over their political views. So this goes right to the heart of who Donald is. He is all about one thing, Donald.
Irina, what did you think of Trump's words, but especially the reactions to it? To those of us watching from afar, it is unusual to see even staunch MAGA supporters practically pleading with Trump and telling him that he's crossed a line.
Thank you so much. Well, there's a saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. As you pointed out, this was a good occasion to exercise restraint. Donald Trump, as the sitting US president, is not obligated to comment on every criminal incident that takes place across the country. And it's no surprise that Hollywood directors and personalities tend to be more left-wing, nor do I think that his criticism of Trump's politics regarding Russia was entirely unfair. There are many on the right who also criticize Donald Trump's apparent accommodations of Putin's demands on Ukraine. And I think any American citizen can feel free to disagree and to question this policy. That doesn't make Reiner deranged, nor does it make his opinion particularly important. What is the unfortunate outcome of this incident? First of all, it's extremely unkind to the surviving family of Rob Reiner and his wife, including their daughter. And second, it presents an image of the US president as a very petty person, obsessed with personal vindictiveness and not with leading and uniting the country, especially after tragic incidents. And that's not a good message either to the American people, to our allies abroad, or to the enemies who may use this opportunity to create further divisions.
At a time when he's trying to mediate between countries, this is the literal opposite of being statesman-like. Adele, were you shocked by this? Because Trump had a chance to kind of walk back his words, but he kind of doubled down and said, no, I meant them very much.
So thank you for having me on. I wasn't surprised. I have to say President Trump's response was emotionally charged and unmistakably his own style, direct, unvarnished, and deeply personal. But I have to say that the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, was a profound tragedy. And you have to keep in mind, regardless of what happens on a personal level and in a political arena, which is very, very bloody. We know that both figuratively and literally, sadly. Rob Reiner was a creative force. He was a gifted filmmaker who gave us literally pieces of work, The Nanny Bride, The Princess Bride, and a few others that literally shaped American culture. And he was a man who also believed deeply in his political convictions, even when he and I profoundly disagreed. But disagreement in life should never erase dignity in death. And I think that's the moment that needs to give us pause here, right? The anger that we have to remember here, the anger that we have in politics, it doesn't just stay on cable news. We all know this very well. It seeps into our real lives, into real families. We know how political divisiveness has torn families apart. And I think that the true meaning of leadership is to set differences aside in death and to speak with compassion and to remind our country that our shared values and humanity, they're the things that must always come first. So I would look forward to a time where our politics is not so corrosive and divisive as it is today.
That ship may have sailed, but I take your point. David, does this do anything to Trump's support base, or does it sort of galvanize it in some twisted way? Because I have seen people with extreme views who are part of the MAGA identity balk at Trump's words and say, this is not right. Something doesn't, sit well with us with this kind of thing. What do you think?
Well, there is a hardcore level of support for Trump, probably in the neighborhood of a fifth to a quarter of Americans who, no matter what he does, will support him. And they are largely not well-educated people and not graceful people. But among those who have voted for Trump, we're seeing his popularity decline. He's now in the approval ratings in the 30s in every poll that isn't a blatantly Republican poll. And I think you're going to see more of that slippage, though it's going to be based much more on American economics and rising prices than it will be on these kinds of graceless and despicable remarks. And this is something, by the way, in my household we've talked about. Donald has said in the past he hates me more than any other journalist. And one of my children said, well, when you die, one thing's predictable, Dad. Donald will say, good.
Yeah.
You have a long life. We won't want to switch at the pun. That's horrible, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Wish you a long
for
life and
years.
a
Let's just
healthy
say not for years. But, but Adele, he's the president of the United States. It's sometimes easy to forget that. And I'm wondering, with all the many different battles that he's fighting, metaphorically, of course, I mean, across the world, do you think world leaders, this is, after all, a Hollywood director we're talking about, which is, it's something which is very much a domestic American story. But Rob Reiner was known across the world, obviously. We know him well here in India. Do you think world leaders will be looking at this as well and thinking, something's changed?
So thank you for that. I think that all of Hollywood is international. It's never domestic because American culture through the silver screen is truly a global phenomenon with tremendous impact across the world, right? And Bollywood similarly is doing the same thing across the world. It's really making amazing strides. So I think that, of course, you're going to have world leaders that are going to, of course, balk at that they would never speak that way about a deceased icon as such. But I'm not saying I'm defending what was stated at all. I actually would do things very differently if I was commander-in-chief. I would not say such a thing about anyone. But if you want to see where he's coming from, I think he was, to be honest with you, firing a warning shot that when political disagreement is fueled by rage, that dehumanization and constant escalation, it can tip into something far darker. We know here that, unfortunately, Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner's son was not doing well mental health-wise and had drug addiction issues. And we don't know what his motive was, but apparently reports said that he had gotten into a fight with his father the evening before at a Christmas party, which may have caused him to go over the edge. But I think it was more of him trying to politicize Rob Reiner's death and use it for a political purpose to warn his detractors not to be so vocal and have so-called Trump derangement syndrome. That's his style of doing things. Again, I would do things differently if I were commander-in-chief. But
it's very clear. Again, a huge understatement. But the fact that Trump takes things very personally, he clearly holds a grudge. A death of a person is not going to be enough for him to, be mature about it and put those things aside. But Irina, like I keep saying, this is, after all, the US president. He's a man who globally calls many shots. What signal does this send out? God knows that for over a year now, global leaders have been getting used to Trump's world, as they call it, interpreting his even non-political utterances as signals of how to navigate and handle Donald Trump. Do you think there's something in this as well? He's just uncompromising when it comes to people who attack him.
I think this sends a message that the president of the US is somebody easy to manipulate emotionally. If you want to get into his graces, all you need to flatter him. And if you need to get him going on something, you can say, you can criticize him publicly or disagree with him, and that will be sufficient to set him off. And that's something that U.S. adversaries, or for that matter, domestic politicians, can use very clearly. And I want to contrast Donald Trump's reaction with the Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who is also a very conservative politician, arguably much more so than Donald Trump. Actually, he's faced a lot of criticism from within his own party and also externally, and he was a former presidential candidate. His comments were extremely gracious and extremely graceful, despite the fact it's very clear he probably disagreed with Reiner on many issues and has no problem engaging with people, including celebrities online in social media, and arguing with them very articulately about political issues. That means that within the Republican Party, there isn't necessarily a singular monolithic trend of supporting scorched earth tactics against opponents. There is a contingency of other seasoned politicians who take a different track.
Interesting. I'll give the final word to David. David, no shortage of people on Trump's hate list. Are there others who will sort of shrink back from attacking Trump as a result of this? Or do you think this is just normal now?
Well, this is part of Trump's strategy to control and contain criticism.
Yeah.
He is suing the Pulitzer Prize Board over an award they gave. He is suing the BBC. Donald has said many times, you should not be allowed to write or say anything about him unless he approves. I don't know what more dictatorial comment he could take.
No, you're right. I think we'll leave it there, but one only wonders what next when it comes to Trump. There's no shortage of people who are his betas, who will call him out, and I'm just wondering what's going to come next from this entire universe. Thank you very much, Adele, David, and Irina. Always a pleasure having you from all the way across the world on this discussion that we're having here in India. Mind you, it's something that matters to us very much because we are currently engaged in something of a trade war with Trump. So many of the things he does are important signaling as to how we here in India and our government navigates the Trump administration as well. So thank you all for joining me. It's a wrap here on India Matters. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. The buck stops here with Padmaja Joshi is next.
She's stepped into the unknown and delivered a performance India is talking about. Meet the audacious Janhvi Kapoor at NDTV Indian of the Year 2025.
Namaste India. As you all know, I've been traveling around the world with my music. But this one is truly special. Something that's India. You all must have seen the magic that was created in Kun Faya Kun. Now it's your chance to experience it with me. So book your tickets from District app and together let's create harmony of hearts. See you, Delhi.
You applauded the performance. Now meet the actor who defined it. Vicky Kaushal at the NDTV Indian of the Year 2025.
Watch Rahul and me on his great show, Walk the Talk. Coming soon, only on NDTV.
A sensational debut. New heartthrob of a new India. Ahan Pandey at NDTV Indian of the Year 2025.
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.
A transformation you witnessed. Now, meet the force behind it. Jai Shah at the NDTV Indian of the Year 2025.
They argue
I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
Very warm welcome to Walk the Talk. I'm joined by one of the world's top foreign affairs gurus, Fareed Zakaria. Welcome.
It takes decades to build trust, and it takes moments to break trust.
The United States recently came out with a new security strategy doctrine.
In this moment of extraordinary power and dominance, Trump's vision of America in the world is to retreat, to shrink, to shed its influence, make America a regional power again. For 80 years, it's been a global power. We want to be a regional power.
They ruled the world. Won 1 billion hearts. Now, meet the champions who made the nation proud. The Indian women's cricket team at the NDTV Indian of the Year. The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interview.